You ever notice how some folks inherit a house, maybe a tidy patch of land, and they think that's their legacy? Me, I got a dirt road, 5 bumpy, stubborn miles of red clay and gravel that snakes through the old oak groves of my family's ranch in the middle of California. No lights, no lines. Not even a sign to tell you where you are, just a rough stretch of earth carved out by my great-granddad back when mules did all the heavy lifting. And neighbors settled their differences with a handshake or a shovel depending on the day. That road, though, that was our vein to the world, a lifeline running from the back pasture to town to school to the feed store to the only hospital for 50 miles. It's where my father raced a thunderstorm to save a newborn calf, where my grandfather barreled through the night with my grandma in labor and panic in his eyes, and it's the stretch I still walk most evenings, boots trailing dust, listening for ghosts I pretend not to believe in. Name's Nathan Cole, 4th generation on this land. I've been here nearly 5 decades. And for the last 2, I've been the only Cole left, still calling this place home, widowed, weathered, not quite worn out. I always thought the quiet was enough for me. Turns out quiet's only sweet until someone tries to take it away. It started the day developers bought up the old Ramsey place, turned a perfectly good pasture into a parade of beige McMansions they called a sustainable enclave, which was a fancy way of saying they'd covered the hills with stucco solar panels, fake grass, and an HOA run by folks who'd never fixed a fence in their lives. I kept my distance, let them enjoy their imported palm trees and mailbox art shows, figured I'd stick to my side of the wire. But then I got a letter hand-delivered by a security guard rolling up in a black golf cart like a sheriff in a spaghetti western. Dear Mr. Cole, in accordance with new HOA traffic security measures, the access road will be gated and locked. Entry for approved residents only. Sincerely, Craig Thornton, President. Sincerely, Craig. I read it twice, then a third time. They were talking about my road, the same path my family built. The one my deed said was ours, the only way in and out unless you fancied 2 creek crossings and a 40-minute detour. I drove out to the development, sure enough, contractors pounding stakes, prepping for a gate, a sign already up, future site of controlled access. Private entry only. I asked the guy with the blueprint what he thought he was doing on my easement. He shrugged, said he had board approval. I said, son, you're about to meet a fence post real quick if you don't step off my land. That night, I pulled every document I had, deed surveys, old yellowed agreements, and there it was, clear as spring water. The road, though open for public utility, was still private property, Cole Ranch, since 1927. Next morning, I dropped those papers off at the HOA office. The receptionist took them, like I was handing her expired coupons, and told me legal would review. A week later, the gate went up anyway. Iron bars, keypad cameras. They even had a plaque, Crestview residents only, violators prosecuted. Craig, the president, smugly texted me a temporary code as a courtesy. It didn't work. I was locked out of my own road. Now you know how it goes. Tried to let the law do its job, filed a complaint with the county, waited for answers that never came. Meanwhile, every delivery, every vet call, every feed truck had to slog the long way around. Emergency vehicles started skipping us altogether. Too much trouble, too many delays. When I finally cornered Craig, all he offered was, we have to prioritize the needs of the community. Maybe consider another access route. That other route was a ravine that'd eat a truck whole. Wasn't about safety, it was about power, about reminding an old rancher who's boss in their postcard perfect world. I waited, documented everything, every delay, every time an ambulance turned around, every time they cut me off at meetings, but I didn't expect what happened next. One August afternoon, smoke rose out west, thin at first, then a thick, angry cloud. The fire moved fast, meaner than any I'd seen. The alert hit mandatory evacuation Crestview and surrounding areas. That meant us. That meant everyone trapped behind that shiny new gate. I called the county resources tied up on the main highway. The ranch road wasn't a priority. Thing was, Crestview had 2 exits, the main road and my dirt road. Both blocked and you're boxed in with nowhere to run. I raced my truck to the gate, chaos everywhere. Cars jammed inside, people shouting Craig at the keypad, punching codes that wouldn't work. Power was out, the whole thing locked tight. No backup, no maintenance, just panic and smoke rolling in. I didn't ask for permission. I hooked a chain to my hitch, backed up and hit the gas. The gate bent, groaned, and finally gave way, bolts shrieking out of the ground. People poured through, some sobbing, some just staring, but all moving, all saved by the road they'd tried to close. I waited till the last taillight disappeared, flames right behind me before I left. Fire tore through 3 houses, singed a dozen more, but not a single life was lost. Not one. And it wasn't a fire truck that saved them. It was the old road. The next week, a reporter showed up, wanted the whole story. I told him, standing on that burnt patch where the gate had been, what happens when you value rules over neighbors. County opened an investigation. HOA sent a letter, all legalese and hollow regret. But the truth was out. Folks saw what happens when you build walls instead of bridges. Craig showed up a few days later, not in his golf cart, just dusty tired, holding a document tube. We were wrong, he said. The board dropped their claims. Handed me a new deed. Said the road was mine, always had been. Asked if I'd help write emergency protocols for the whole community. I said I'd talk, but it started with respect, with knowing the road was a lifeline, not a luxury. Funny thing happened after people from Crestview started using the road for walks, bike rides, waving at me like we'd always been neighbors. There were new faces. Laura, the nurse, started walking her daughters past my horses. Ethan, the programmer, joined me for sunrise walks. Margaret brought her sketchbook drawing what she called portraits of resilience. That road, once a battle line, became a bridge. Craig, to his credit, stuck around, started volunteering at the fire department, even got the HOA to donate land for a community park instead of a tennis club. We didn't become best friends, but we learned to nod, to listen. Rachel, the new safety head, brought cornbread to my porch and a folder labeled Fire Drill Proposal. Turns out you don't need a disaster to come together, just a reason, and sometimes that reason is survival. The road's got my name on it now, Cole. Road painted on a green sign at the bend. State even gave us a grant to build a fire watch post. The mayor called it a model for rural emergency planning. All I know is every time I walk that stretch, see the kids on bikes, the parents with strollers. I remember what Sarah, my late wife, used to say, this land's got a good soul. Don't let anyone forget it. So yeah, some folks inherit a house or a title or a patch of green that never needed tending. Me, I inherited a dirt road. Turns out that was enough to save a town, start a few arguments, and remind us all that you can't gate off what's meant to be shared. You can try, but when fire comes, only open roads and open hearts keep us alive. You tell me, where do you draw the line between private property and public good? Would you have opened the gate or waited for help that never came? Drop your thoughts below, because out here every story's got a lesson and every road's got a chance to bring folks together if we let it.